Today on the Pro-Life Podcast, it's gonna get weird. What do the Chinese Mafia, the nation of Georgia, and forced harvesting of human eggs have to do with each other? Apparently the black market? We need to talk about this. Let's get started. Happy Thursday, Pro-Life family. Welcome to the table. Grab your coffee. Oh, it's that time again. No shortage of... Are you making fun of me?
No, I'm wishing I had my own coffee.
It's not too late. We can run get you coffee.
No, I'm a strict one cup a day kind of gal.
Oh,
So
I'm a strict one pot a day guy.
yeah.
All right. Oh, my. Well, okay. Lots to get into. Even very recent craziness. So let's introduce ourselves.
Kim Schwartz, Director of Media and Communication.
Michaela Vaughn, Director of Education.
Brent Clearman, IT Director, and nerd? I don't know.
You're in charge of the dumpster fire.
I am.
apparently.
Oh, boy. Yeah, well, I got a good one today because this one just came out. That the Attorney General has arrested someone doing abortions with an actual brick and mortar clinic in the Waller area. Did I catch that right?
Yeah, it's so
Hold on,
creepy.
Waller in Texas? I thought abortion was illegal.
That's what
No one's doing this anymore. Women don't want abortions anymore. I mean, we want women to not want abortions anymore, but nobody's doing this, right?
Right, man. It is wild. So I think that there's this huge misconception that people think like, well, abortion is illegal, so it's not happening anymore. And it's true that our laws are saving thousands upon thousands of children every single year. The birth rate has shot up after Roe v. Wade, so that's great because more children in Texas are being born. Awesome. But it's an illusion to say like, oh, because we made abortion illegal, that means women like just if they find out they're pregnant unexpectedly, they just don't even think about abortion. It doesn't cross their mind. And I think we can all agree that that is like pretty far-fetched to think like you know what kind of like scary anxiety and like just fear comes over you in that situation if you find out you're pregnant and you're not ready for that. So the fact that abortion is illegal doesn't mean that it is unthinkable. It doesn't mean that women aren't seeking abortion still. And so the Attorney General this week announced that he has arrested a woman in the Houston area who is committing illegal abortions in like storefront clinics in the Houston area, Springs, Cypress, and Waller. And so this is really big news. I'm really glad that the Attorney General like went after and enforced the law against this woman who knows how many children she killed, but her charges were operating or like practicing medicine without a license. So I think that's pretty uncontroversial. But the other charges were brought by committing illegal abortions. And so now we're actually seeing our pro-life laws really like taking
Getting enforced.
Getting enforced. Yeah, it's really good.
Now, what would your response be for the pro-abortion side who says that's the reason why abortion should be legal? Because if we make abortion illegal, there's going to be illegal abortions. And if abortion was legal in Texas, we wouldn't have this midwife saying she had these medical licenses that she didn't and opening up her storefront.
True.
Well, then let's make drugs and theft illegal or legal. Murder and all the other things. Like, just because you make it illegal doesn't mean bad people stop doing bad things. There's still going to be people who want to profit off of crime.
Right. I think framing it as crime. What are we asking our state to make legal? What are we asking, what are we saying? Oh, but they're just going to go to these back alley, what? Abortions.
Is abortion
More,
still wrong?
what is
Yeah.
abortion?
Is abortion still killing a human child? Like, yes, whether it's legal or illegal, you're still killing a child. So that's kind of the bigger issue there.
Yeah.
I think too, I've made this point before and it absolutely like grinds my gears because the pro-abortion people will say like, well, if you make abortion illegal, then women are just going to seek illegal abortions and women are going to die from illegal abortions. And then in the same breath, you know who are the ones who are providing the illegal abortions? It's not pro-life people. So if you're so worked up about like, oh, don't seek an illegal abortion, it's dangerous. maybe don't provide the illegal abortion and try to help the woman in some other way.
Well, that makes sense, doesn't it?
My pro tip. Call me crazy.
Hot take.
I know. But I really am grateful that this is coming to light when it is. Like, obviously, like, I would prefer that this woman had never committed abortions in the first place.
Right.
But if it was going to come to light, I think it's very providential that it's coming to light right now, because we're in the middle of the legislative session. We have this opportunity to stop illegal abortions, to help pregnant women. And there's just this big time crunch that we're in. And so if lawmakers believe like illegal abortions aren't happening, like women don't think about that anymore, I think this new news really flies in the face of that. And so I'm hoping that that'll add some more momentum. We got our bills filed. I almost said filed bills, whatever.
Bills have been filed.
Yes. The flies, the filed, the bills, they're all filed. So we got our bills filed last week. We've got a couple big ones to the Women and Child Protection Act to stop illegal abortions. We really want to stop illegal abortion pills at the source. So most of the time, like with this new woman being arrested, you know, that's an angle that we don't focus on too much, because yes, there are like illegal abortions happening like in person, like this midwife going and doing illegal abortions, but most of them happen in your own home, which is really sad. Like all of it is sad, but just really dangerous and scary, because you can go online, order some illegal abortion pills, they ship right to your doorstep like as early as the next day. Worst case scenario, they get there in maybe like 10 days, but you take the abortion pills at your home and they get here in all kinds of ways, either online, through the mail, people bringing them in from other states. So we want to cut abortion pills off at the source. That's what the Women and Child Protection Act focuses on. So keep an eye on that one. And then we've talked about this again, the Stop Tax Funded Abortion Travel Act. It's a mouthful. But
it is.
It says what
very
it will do.
descriptive.
Yeah. It will stop tax-funded abortion travel, believe it or not.
It's going to be hard to make weird amendments to that.
Maybe just some taxpayer funded.
Yeah, exactly.
No, so stop.
Stop. Yeah. Totally. So you'll
Stop. That's important.
Yeah. Bold, underline, italicize. So that'll stop local governments like Austin and San Antonio that are like, we won't fund abortion, but we'll fund your plane ticket, your hotel stay, whatever other expenses you're going to incur there. Like, we'll spend taxpayer money on that. So that's the plan there. So there's a lot of exciting things happening right now. I'm glad that this story about the abortionist has come to light, and we need to pray that she'll repent, that she'll face justice, and hopefully the moms who sought abortions from her will find healing and repentance as well.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's still important to be passing laws that regulate these pills coming across the border, coming in weird ways. I mean, they're already illegal, but they're still getting here.
Yeah.
So we need to crack down on that. Okay. Weirdest story I've heard in a little while. I literally was like, what? What is going on? Chinese mafia, egg harvesting. What? We'll talk about it after this. Do you have a cell phone? Do you have pro-life values? Do you like saving money? Well, Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider, and they've partnered with Texas Right to Life. So if you'll go to patriotmobile.com/Texas Right to Life or call 972-PATRIOT, 972-PATRIOT, and use the checkout code TRTL, they'll give you a free month of service. So make the switch today. Have your money support causes you believe in, and save and get a whole free month. Make the switch right now. What are you doing still watching this? Make the switch right now.
Want to support a cause you love and look great doing it? Visit the Texas Right to Life online store. You'll find t-shirts, hats, mugs, bags, everything you need to rep the pro-life movement wherever you go. Plus, you'll get free shipping on every order.
Listeners like you, yes, you, can get 15% off when you use code PODCAST at checkout. Visit store.texasrighttolife.com today to shop with purpose and make a difference.
Welcome back, friends. I'm sorry this is going to be very weird, because when you told me that the Chinese mafia is holding women in the former Russian state of now the nation of Georgia for egg harvesting, we are not talking about chickens here. What?
It is like the nightmare case of surrogacy. Like, we've talked about some nightmare surrogacy situations.
Yes.
We've talked about, one of my favorite episodes was about should brain dead women be used to gestate, embryos, like as unwilling surrogates. Answer is no, they should not, but like that's an idea that's being floated out there. So you can see this line of thought that you get into whenever it comes to how IVF is practiced today, how surrogacy is practiced today. You get in some really sketchy things, which is how we get here. There was this a few actually Thai women escaped a slavery situation. They were being held slaves in the nation of Georgia. You know how they got there, right? Were you the one?
Yes. Okay, so this is scary because Facebook Marketplace. I'm on Facebook Marketplace a little too much. I'm studying my husband picking them up for me. So these women in Thailand were on Facebook Marketplace, and they responded to an ad for a job. It was a surrogacy job.
So they knew.
They knew it was something about surrogacy, but not to the extent of what the reality was. So they go to Georgia, and at first I thought it was the state, and I was shocked. The country. So they go to the country of Georgia.
Yes.
And one of the escaped women said that she was pumped full of hormones, and then these women, on a monthly basis, their eggs were retrieved.
That's horrible.
So not what they were expecting, and they weren't allowed to leave. Some escaped. And I read one woman, she had to pay a very heavy fine, and then she left. But do you know how many women?
It was hundreds. Like,
yeah,
the people who escaped the women who escaped said that there were at least 100 others being held captive, and the same thing was happening to all of them. Like, they saw an ad on Facebook. They said, okay, well, like, this sounds good. I'm going to be in a contract. I'm going to help this couple have a baby. Great. I'm going to make money. And they get there and they're tracked. They're captured. They're not allowed to leave. And, you have this like human trafficking situation, basically. So they harvest a ton of eggs at one time. Whenever this happens in normal surrogacy and in this slavery situation, that whenever they're trying to harvest eggs, it's not just like one at a time. They stimulate your ovaries so much so they can grab a ton all at once. And then for like surrogacy or IVF, then you like fertilize those eggs and then implant them. But for the slavery situation, they were selling those eggs on the black market.
Hang on. I wasn't aware there was a big black market like opportunity for human eggs.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really, really strange product.
Mm-hmm.
Drugs, okay, I've seen that. Weapons, I've seen that. I've seen some other strange things. Human eggs.
Yeah.
And for why?
So here's how they sell them, because then it's like, who's going and trying to buy human eggs?
Yeah.
But this this crime syndicate, I don't know what you call this. I
think crime syndicate.
Well, sure. You know what? Go for it. Yes.
These criminals are misleading buyers about how they got these eggs and like what they are. So there are, from what it sounds like in the reports that I've read, there are IVF clinics and, fertility specialists, and they're just buying these eggs and not super asking where they came from. But the criminals are misleading them and saying like, yeah, we got these from Thai women, we've got the I don't know if they would call them volunteers, but we had contracts, all of this stuff, and it's not true. Like they were just lying about where these eggs had come from. And so now you've got these clinics that are being misled, which they shouldn't be really involved with groups like this in the first place. But think about the parents too who are trying to have a baby, like with all the sketchiness that comes with surrogacy and IVF in like the current standards and everything. Like with all the sketchiness behind that, we can all have sympathy for the parents who so like desperately want a child that they're like, okay, you know what? We're struggling with conceiving naturally. Like, let's try something else. And it's just a shame. It's terrible because there's so much that's being hidden from them that I think if they knew what they were actually participating in, they'd be scandalized.
Oh, yeah.
And I think this goes back to IVF treats children as commodities. That every parent, if they want children, well, they deserve children. They should get children by any means possible. And so if we're treating babies like objects, like commodities that can be bought, sold, retrieved, then what are these women who are held captive? A means of production.
Yep.
Completely taking the family, taking love out of life.
Yeah.
I feel like we keep having these stories. Stories of doctor implants the wrong baby.
Again.
And the doctor implants the wrong baby again. Well, and then now the recent one was on our website. Doctor implants the wrong baby. And the mom kind of figured that out when she has a child that's not the same race as her or the dad. She had some questions.
Yeah. Pretty clear indication. So this is another one. This happened in the UK recently. Actually, it was a couple years ago, but the legal
The legal process takes time.
Yeah, that shook out recently. So there's this woman who wanted to have a child. She sought a sperm donor, did IVF. They planted this baby. She carried the baby for 9 months. And when she gave birth, she loved this baby so much. And she wishes that she could still have her child. But when the child was born, she noticed that the baby is black, she is white, and the sperm donor is white. So something was different in that mix-up. So she was like, okay, she went to the fertility specialist, and she, again, loved this child, wants to keep this child. Even though, like, at this point, she realized the fertility clinic told her, we have planted the wrong baby. And so now, like, this child is not biologically related to her, but she still loves this child. She wants to parent this child because she bonded with this child. But the biological parents of this child are upset because that's their child. That was he was their embryo. Now he's their...
And they're legally entitled to this child who is now out in the world and genetically theirs.
Yes. And so they went to court, and the woman who carried this child for 9 months is heartbroken. She wanted to keep this child, but saw, like, the judge basically said, like, this is how this is going to shake out. Like, the law is on their side. And so either you can give them your child now, or you can, like, wait and keep letting this court process go on, but you know that it's not going to end up with you with the child. And so that broke her heart. She had to surrender this child to his biological parents. And, like, it's so just tragic for every party involved in here. It's tragic for the child, most importantly, because the child bonds with the mother in the womb. It's tragic for the biological parents. Like, think about that the biological mother who wanted to carry her child, like, in a pregnancy, and you have that bonding time, And she was robbed of that because of this mistake from the IVF clinic. And then you have the mother who carried the child, and now she doesn't get to have the life that she thought she would always have with the baby who she carried in her womb for 9 months. Like, everyone loses in this situation.
Yeah.
Although, like, that's such a difficult thing too, because we want to be careful with our words. And I feel like I wasn't careful just now that, you know, we're glad that this child exists. We're glad
Yeah.
this child is alive. And that's true with every child conceived in IVF. Like, it is good that they exist. We love babies. But I think the distinction with IVF versus like adoption or like the married couple having a child naturally, that we need to put the child first. And IVF doesn't do that. IVF puts the parents first and what they want. And any culture that is adult centric over child centric just has those priorities backwards, because we need to put the most defenseless and innocent above our own like needs and wants, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And when we're talking about IVF, we can't forget all of the embryos that are created in the process. So as, the pro-life community, we believe that life begins at the moment of conception. And in IVF, only 7% of all embryos created actually result in a live birth, and 93% of all of these embryos created result in miscarriage, stillbirth, abortion, or they're frozen indefinitely.
Yeah.
And so in the US, we have over 1 million frozen embryos. And that's a real ethical crisis, this whole process of IVF to get to, a live birth in a child. And that child, like you said, is good, it's a blessing. Their presence is amazing, created in the image of God. But we have legitimate concerns about this process.
Yeah. Like, even the children who are never born are also made in the image of God and good and sacred. And does our treatment of keeping them in a freezer reflect like their goodness and their worth and like how they were made in the image of God? I don't think so.
Nope. But you also can't just thaw them out to die. So we have this problem that nobody's really got a lot of good answers for. But it's a mess we've made for ourselves. Now we kind of have to lie in it. And I don't know what the answer is now that we've got 1 million kids' eyes.
Yeah.
That's a weird sentence.
Yeah.
It's a really weird sentence, and I hate it. There's not a great answer.
Yeah.
We have talked about the synthetic womb and how that might open up some opportunities for birthing some of those kids, but that hasn't been through human trials. There's going to be complications. There's going to be all kinds of problems. The whole IVF and freezing kids, there's a whole statistic analysis now that those kids are prone to having all kinds of health problems later, or more likely to have some health problems. We have made a terribly complicated mess. Well, it's like Dr. Segal likes to say, the further you get away from the original design, just the weirder everything gets. Short answer, kids aren't a commodity.
Yeah, true. So that's what we've got. There is, to be a nerd here again, there is a bill that we're supporting at Texas Right to Life in the state capitol in Austin that would add reporting requirements to IVF clinics. And so this doesn't even like change the status quo, but it would give us more light on what happens to the children who are created in these IVF clinics. Like, you have a number of them who are born alive. That's great. But how many are being frozen indefinitely? How many are being experimented on and treated as like research projects? How many are just frozen forever? So this bill would give us more insight into the IVF industry. So I hope that bill will get some traction.
I hope so, because when you mentioned this earlier, we were talking about getting ready for this recording, It seemed all like data you would already have.
I agree.
Somewhere in my brain, data guy, right? Like you go, well, yeah, we're going to track everything along the way because science.
Even for this well-intentioned couple, like if I was in a situation where I was interested in IVF, and this is what I did actually when I was looking at birth centers. I made a spreadsheet, and in my spreadsheet, I had my different birth centers, and I had my rows of how I was going to compare them all.
We are all such nerds.
So if I was going to do that for an IVF clinic, I would want to know what are their numbers? How many embryos are created at this clinic, and what happens? How many live births are resulted? How many are frozen? But then also the numbers for the tragic stories we talk about. Right. How many of these frozen embryos were accidentally thawed? I mean, how tragic and heartbreaking that your kids could possibly die in a clinic. So at the very least, we need these numbers so that parents can be educated.
We can't really begin to know how to fix the mess until we really know what the mess is.
Mm.
We know there are some problems in the system. We don't know how bad they actually are because we aren't tracking things.
Yeah.
Wow. So this recording has gone for some real extremes today. So we've recently arrested someone committing abortions in Texas through human trafficked women and black market human eggs to major problems with IVF and why we should pass a bill to track those problems, see how bad they actually are. Wow, friends. Well, thanks for coming along on this ride.
I laughed, I cried. It moved me, Bob.
Thank you for some humor because it was getting kind of dark now. Okay. Well, friends, we love and appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, talk to your friends about this stuff. I know they're going to be like, you what? Where are you hearing? The Chinese mafia is selling what? Yeah, it's a thing. Links below. We will see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for watching.